Hello everyone, and welcome back to the final episode of Let's Play Snowboard Kids for the N64. I'm going to be cramming pretty much every last little bit of content of this game has back into this one episode, and starting off I'm going to be showing you the trick course, actually, the last of the skill games that I didn't get around to. And basically, the way you want to succeed at this is by choosing Nancy with the freestyle board level 3. This is the only stage that you can do any tricks on, and what you want to do is at the very beginning of this half pipe, start steering yourself left and right, around jumping around the point where it says jump on the half pipe. Try to get yourself as straightly oriented as you can. You can do a better job with this with practice. I didn't show off one, like say, they're highly practiced ones right here. But once you got yourself into a good loop, what you want to do is, once you're on the ground, crouch down, press left and right, and around the point where it says jump on the half pipe, that's when you want to let go of the button. That's when you want to jump. And that'll just have just enough time for Nancy to do her most basic special move. And special moves gives you 40 points each in this trick minigame. Standard spins and grabs don't give you very much. A basic grab gives you like 1 point. Standard spin gives you 10. A grab and a spin together can get you between 15 to 20. But basically, since you don't see it right now, but this course is actually in really short. Like it only get through like say 20 seconds in order to get to the goal line, and that's it. But basically what I'm doing right here, this is just it. This is what everyone does in order to succeed at this one. You have 3 minutes in order to get as high amount of points as you can, and yeah. What you see in the top left right there is your combo meter, or for whatever reason, this game calls it the make count. Like, see how it's 25, now it's gonna be 26. I don't know why it's called make, it should just be the combo meter, but that's how many, like, say, successful tricks you pulled off in a row together. And if you stumble or, like, say, and fail one right there, it's gonna go back down to 0. You get a small bonus of money at the end of it based on your make count or combo count, but it's so minuscule, you don't really need to worry about it. See, I screwed up right there, and basically I thought, that's good enough. That's good enough time. If you're really good, you can kind of like say get yourself 2,000 points on this section here. And yeah, I don't know, I did that jump there. Stupid me. You could get yourself around 2,000 points before you want to go and complete the course. But the big thing you have to look out for is at the end of these couple big jumps, you have to jump on top of a rail in order to get to the goal line. Because, I mean, yeah, you can like say get past it by even if you fall, but if you go over the rail, it will double whatever points is currently there on your point counters. And in order to get the only unlockable from this course right here, you need over 2,000 points at your point total once you cross the goal. I myself have been able to get over 4,000 points, roughly around 4,300 points on there. And what I said before about Big Snowman being a good way to grind, nah, screw that. This is a better way to grind. Like, say, at around over 4,000 points, you get yourself over 12,000 gold. But that's what you do to unlock it. Now, I'm going to be showing off the special tricks for each one of these characters. For slash, you press left, right, and he'll do the slash bonsai. Up, down, up gives a slash spin. And right, left gives the slash dynamite. If you're not interested in any of these tricks, go ahead and skip to around the 6-minute mark in order to get to the next race. For Nancy, the standard move that I was doing for all those tricks is left-right, which is Nancy's spinning star. Up-left, neutral, up-right does the Nancy cross. Left-right, left-right gives the Nancy grab. Up-down, left gives Nancy's best. And left, right, up, down gives the Nancy groove. If you're wondering how these characters are staying in the air for so long, well, I'm using a special board, but I'll bring that up in a little bit later. For jam, going left, right does jam spinning moon. This one, I believe, is the jam left, right, left, right. This is the blueberry jam, which is down, up, left. And this is the boysenberry jam. Down, like say, rotate counterclockwise twice and hold down.
Ready? Go!
For Linda, her basic left-right is the Linda's Whirligig. Yeah, you can kind of see a lot of the animations look very similar to all these, don't they? Now the next one is Linda's Spinner, which is left, right, up, down. That's one of the more impressive looking ones, I actually like that one. And this one, up, down, left, gives Linda's Leap. Yeah, the speed characters only get 3 tricks. And for Tommy, his starting one is Twirling Tommy, which is right, left, right. I don't like this one. It leaves you turned around at the very end. I have no idea why it does that. Left, right does the Tommy Shake. And his last riff, going up, rotating once to counterclockwise, and holding up will give you the Tommy Tumble. And that is all, like, say, the major tricks that they have to pull off for any of the characters. Like I said, they're not really good for pulling off in the middle of, you know, stages to get money because they're just a bit too complicated of inputs, so you just go for the most basic ones. But now, I'm going to be going to what the stage that gave me the most trouble during this course. I start off here with one of the failed runs, because this is the mouse that you can get here. I didn't actually have it show up in any of the successful runs, but you use it, it steals money from, I believe, all of the other racers. It took me 2.5 hours in order to get a first place run on this course. Yeah, I do not remember it being anywhere near that tough years ago when I was first, like, getting through it. This one right here, Silver Mountain, is a long, narrow course with no shortcuts. And you're going to want someone who's kind of like right in the middle of good stats, so that's why I choose Slash. And you're going to... Oh yeah, there's a first jump there, which is a little bit of a ravine. You're going to learn heavily that, you know, this is one of the courses where one of the opponent AIs is far more aggressive than the others. One of them's kind of medium aggressive and one's really passive. In this race, Tommy is a passive one, Linda is the semi-aggressive one, and Nancy is usually the aggressive one. Don't let it fool you from the first lap here. She starts to, you know, get her revenge in the second and third lap. On that big jump there, you may think it's a good idea to do a big trick, but no, there's too much of a tight turn afterwards and you'll find yourself bonking into the wall, which will cancel out your trick and get rid of any money that you were getting from it. This is not a good place in order to try and get tricks going on. And most of your money here is going to be coming from the gold that you're going to find strewn around the course. You're going to find, like, say, this is something that you'll learn probably from numerous repeated attempts at trying to pass this course here, at which item shops and which weapon shops the enemy AI script tends to run into. Nancy tends to run into most of the weapon ones and a couple of the item ones. It's a bit difficult to point out all of them, but that blue item box I ran into a little bit ago, that is one of the ones she always runs into. And Nancy tends to, at least in this one, tends to run into most of the upcoming weapons boxes coming up on this last narrow stretch of the last half of the race. And so that's why it's a good idea to, like, say, you know, drop, like, say, to drop your obstacles in front of it, because it's most likely that she'll run into it as long as nothing else interrupts her script, because that's her set path that she's going to try and run onto. And she tends to have really good aim with all of her shots. I tend to find she usually, her AI tends to pick up the freeze shot most often, which is really annoying. And I was lucky there with the pants hitting me only on the lift, which didn't affect anything. And yeah, so many numerous attempts were failed because once Nancy got in the lead, she just zoomed so far ahead that it was impossible to overtake her, and it was just time to reset afterwards. That right side coin right there is one that Nancy always grabs at the beginning of the race, and I'm not sure if she really does a trick at the beginning of that jump, but if you limit your enemy opponent's, like, say, money options at the beginning, they're not able to pick up as many items, so that's just one thing to keep in mind. All these little different strategies appear, like, say, in this stage here, because you need to start doing it in order to subvert the artificial intelligence that is definitely going to try to overtake you. So even though she does a trick right there, see how she bonked right into the wall? That's going to happen to you if you try to do a trick off of that section, so just jump off it plainly, orient yourself to the right, and get yourself going to the right side so that you can maintain your speed. Speed is very important in this section. Like I say, each time you come to a jump, do one standard spin and a grab, and that'll be a good way to help bolster your money for the remainder of it. Invisibles are your best friend in this match. They're gonna save you, so they can save you so many times. It's one of the reasons why you want to stay in first. And speaking of placements, it's generally more fortuitous in this fight here to stay in third place than it is to stay in second, because when you're in second place, you can't get any of the frying pans, which are very, very important in this one. And Nancy usually likes to grab that blue item box, but I think the bombs through her off her script. And off that last little jump there's a ravine. Most of the AI tends to smack themselves into the wall on that one, just like the big jump afterwards. From the earlier part of the stage, so keep in mind of that one. You're going to want to have to turn right really soon after that one. And I got really lucky with the snowman drop pickups from the projectile shop, because this is probably one of the best stages to use snowmen on, because the course is so narrow. You shoot someone, they're going to run into a wall. It's practically guaranteed, unless you're in that big wide open space right before the thin section that falls off into ravines on either side. And again, got lucky with the pans hitting me while I'm on the lift, which means they don't affect me. Whew. I mean, this recording may not make it look like it's all that difficult, but again, 2.5 hours of failed attempts at this because the AI just kept screwing me over whatever turn that they could. And, you know, this one I considered myself to be really lucky to have gotten it to look this good, actually. But yeah, subverting the AI, knowing, like, say, the course layout, knowing which item boxes that they're going to pick up. Oh yeah, that's another tip. If you know that an opponent is trailing right behind you, if you have some cash, pick up the item boxes anyway, even if you don't really want to switch out your stuff, because if they're not shooting you and they're behind you, that means they don't have a weapon. And, okay, I don't know how that parachute just went straight through him. That should have hit him. But if an enemy is following you and they're not shooting at you, that means they don't have a weapon. So you go through the item shop, or you go through the projectile shop. Even if you don't want to, it temporarily disables the item shop, which means it won't be ready for them to pass through. They might even, like, say, get pushed out of the way for a time being, but basically, it'll prevent them from getting any items themselves. Enemies can do the same thing to you. Once an item shop or a weapon shop is, gone through, it's temporarily unusable, but it's also a solid object while it's standing up there, which means you can run into it, and you can lose all of your speed because of it. They fix this in the sequel, which I'm infinitely grateful for. But yeah, I was surprised that that shot from Nancy missed me. The free shot tends to be her AI's preferred one right there. And I was really lucky that Linda started bonking herself on there, because this is a third lap and Linda might have just kept her lead just as well. It was good that I was able to knock Nancy off into the gorge, because that set her back pretty far too. Again, the snowman really came through for me in this last stretch of it. I was actually pretty excited. I thought I was actually going to do myself a pretty good job and actually get to it without much trouble. But wait till you see what happens right at the very end. Like I say, yeah, Nancy hit us all with pans, and normally this time I was panicking, because usually that meant she was just gonna pull straight ahead and, take the win for herself, which she has done other times before. If I didn't have that invisibility in Last Snowman, I would not have won right there. My heart was going a mile a minute by the time I won there, and I was just like, oh, I finally won. Finally. 2.5 hours just to get this one recording. Nancy, I just want you to die. I hated her in this entire course. This is the most frustrating part of recording this Let's Play. Ugh. But after beating it, you get to the Gold Pass. Just like the previous two races, this one allows you to go to the last stage in the game. Also, strangely enough, the end credits start playing after you beat this course. I have no idea why, because it's not the last stage. The next one's the last stage. And for the last stage, I'm going to be playing as Tommy. And what I'm going to be doing is purchasing the best all-around board, because that's what I'm going to use for him. The last stage tends to favor speed more than turning, and once you know the course layout, you'll know how to keep yourself ahead and how to maintain your top speed for it. That's why you want Tommy, the fastest character, on one of the fastest boards that still has a bit of turning onto it. This one used to give me the most trouble when I was younger, even more so than Quicksand Valley did. Again, Silver Mountain, for whatever reason, wasn't too bad for me years ago, but it was today. It was a few days ago. Ready? See that guy to the right of Tommy? That's Shinobin. He is a cheating bastard. One of the worst cheaters I think I've ever beaten, final bosses I've beaten in any games. The only items that he ever gets are pans, ghosts, And, okay, no, that's not true. He gets most of them, but he's programmed to get the most advantageous stuff to him whenever he can. He almost always gets invisibles. He's very difficult for him to get hit with frying pans and other weapons. See right there? I shoot him because I knew that he got invisible right afterwards, because that's the most common one that he picks up when he's in first place. If he gets a rock, if there's somebody right behind him, sometimes he gets a rock and drops it immediately afterwards so that you can, you know, trip over it. But no, for Cinnamon, I knew he had the invisibility afterwards, but I also know now that he doesn't have anything right now, and his script doesn't tend to go for that blue item box right there, so I knew that he was defenseless, so I was able to shoot him. Slash in this is the AI for this one who tends to go after the weapon box that's right there at the beginning of the match there, and Shinobin tends to pick up most of the blue item boxes so that he can keep himself stocked with invisibles or frying pans. And as you might have noticed, this stage is really, really short. 9 laps in order to complete it. Once you know, kind of like, say, a bit of a routine to go through if you get into first place, you should know which, like, say, item boxes to pick up. And if you get an invisibility, you keep it until the end, because you'll likely be able to pick up another one from a different blue item box. And yeah, same thing as, like, say, the last course, this is not a good place in order to try and get money through tricks. This is one where you want to pick up all the gold that's on the ground on there. Like, say, Tommy's already not very good at tricks. I sometimes do a basic spin in order to get something. Slash sometimes gets that red item box right there. But it's mainly all about subverting what your enemies are going to pick up. Like, Shinobin I knew was going to pass through that blue one. He always does. He's going to trip over that rock. I know he has, and I think he briefly did. But, so that's why I let go of the rock right before I, you know, walked through it so I can get a new power-up afterwards, so I got an invisibility, which is good. Normally, you would think that you will want somebody who has really good sharp turning for this, but not really. You end up taking the wide turns with Tommy on the all-around board, but since you're able to maintain the speed, that actually ends up being more fortuitous than doing a slower character, or like putting Tommy on, say, the freestyle board, which would lower his speed but give him greater turning. So the all-around board is the way to go. Really sharp, tight turns. Start turning early so that you can get into so that you can start avoiding all the attacks coming after you. Shinobin normally takes up all, like say, frying pans when he's his fourth. It's pretty inevitable. Like, whichever item is going to be most fortuitous to him, he's going to pick it up from the blue item shop. And that's what took me, like, you know, almost several months, like, say, you know, stopping and starting playing this game when I was younger in order to eventually beat this stage. Shinobin is just programmed to have all, like, say, the advantages over you. That's why once you get in front of him, you have to take advantage of knowing which item boxes he's going to run into and subverting him that way. Like, say, setting up traps on them with the rocks, making sure that anything that he gets from it comes with a price, you know, having to slow down. And again, being in fourth place on the 5th lap, not exactly a bad thing, but of course don't waste your pans and everything right there. Not surprised Shinobin was bonking into the lift right there. Also, only use your pans when you know that, you know, all the enemies are on there. If some of your opponents are on the lift, don't waste your frying pan. It's not going to do anything to them. So that's why I waited for Shinobin, like, say, to, like, start moving his icon on the right of the series on there. And look, see, it didn't hit him because he had an invisible. But since I was in 3rd place, so when that happened, I was able to use another one. But of course, Slash got his blue item box, and I can't believe I tripped over my own rock, but in any case, Shinobin drops a bunch of rocks too, trust me, I've seen him do it before. But yeah, Slash is not quite as aggressive as Shinobin is. I'm surprised I almost fell over another rock, but yeah, that's the key to trying winning this match. Once you get yourself into first place with a high amount of speed, and like knowing when to exploit enemies, like say, the fact that some enemies pick up invisibilities. Like, Nancy almost gets nothing in this. Nancy is pretty much like, say, a nothing AI. It's mostly a race against Slash and Shinobin here. Or, of course, whichever other characters tend to have, like, say, the semi-aggressive and the passive AIs when compared to Shinobin in this, whenever you play this game, depending on which characters you play as. You like, say, Slash normally picks up that one right there, and I can't believe I missed with all those. So that's what you have to teach yourself in order to actually win the last stages in this game. And it looks like Shinobin actually picked up, like, say, a ghost from that blue box, so I used the invisibility preemptively in case he got a frying pan, which he might have. but thankfully he didn't get an invisibility from it, so... In which case, if a frying pan comes to get him now, he's gonna be defenseless. So it's all about knowing how to subvert what your enemies do. Slash tends to get both the red and blue box at the very beginning. So he has an invisible right there because he tends to get them almost as often as Shinobi does. Not quite as often, but still often enough. But now that he's defenseless and I know he's not going through any more blue boxes, I'm able to shoot him. It's always usually a good idea to use invisibility by the time you reach the last blue item box on the course, because that's going to last long enough for you to reach the lifts, so that you're going to be protected from anything except from ghosts or rats coming after you. I don't think enemies use many rats against you in this game. They can in the second game, but that's a strategy in order to win this. And of course, luck is going to play a lot into it. What you end up picking up, what your enemies end up picking up, what you have, what they have at that same point. That's it could be a real hassle. So watch this point where Shinobi is so far back. You see him speeding up right there? Rubber banding. I mean, Mario Kart 64 is pretty bad with it, but this one's pretty bad too. This one took me about an hour of retrying in order to get this successful run, which is a hell of a lot less time than it used to take me when I was younger. But after this happened, I just didn't even press the A button to skip the money, like say, counting sequence. I just let it all run and count down into my total money amount. So yeah, Shinobi, cheating bastard. Used to have a massive problem with him when I was younger, but you really need to know the strategy against him, what he tends to do, what his AI script does, which item boxes he runs into, and how to, like say, plant traps for him and how to subvert him if he's right behind you to limit his ability to get items. Really tough, really difficult, especially compared with the early stuff in the game. And again, after you beat this stage, the credits start playing, just like Silver Mountain. Again, I don't know why the credits played after Silver Mountain, but they did. But I'm not going to show the credits just yet. I'm actually going to show what, after you beat Ninja Valley, you unlock Shinobi. And he only has 3 boards. You cannot purchase any more for him in the shop. You have one that's basically like a freestyle board, an all-around board, and an alpine board. The freestyle board looks like a giant ninja wall scroll. The all-around board looks like an abacus, a giant abacus, yeah. And his alpine board, which is the one I'm writing upon, it looks like a giant kunai. Shinobi is like, plays like Slash, but with all better stats. He has Linda's speed, and he has Jam's turning and tricks. So, which makes him, like, say, the really good, like, say, awesome unlockable character. Every time he's riding, he never unfolds his arms. He has, like, say, a ninja sword strapped to his back. I'm pretty sure it's not a katana. And this is your reward for, you know, beating the game. And saving along with it. He's a pretty fun character to play as. He'd be kind of broken, but again, even on the later courses, you know, the enemy AI can still screw you over. Tommy is still a potentially faster character overall, but Shinobi's really fun to play as. And he has his own, like, this is his animation when he actually, you know, wins. He does this little laugh on there, same laugh as he does whenever he lands a trick afterwards. You know, with this ninja headband, he looks like it kind of belongs in Naruto, doesn't he? But he's got the big nose, just like most of the other characters, as opposed to the carrot nose. And he has his own set of 4 special tricks as well. That is Shinobi's 1080. That's left, right. This is Shinobi's quick draw. Left, hold right, do 2 rotations, and hold right. This one's Shinobi's special flipped. Up 2 counterclockwise rotations of hold up. And his last one is Shinobi's double dash, left, up, right, down. That has nothing to do with the Mario Kart game, don't worry about it. And for the last thing I'm going to be showing off is what you get, how you get the 3 unlockable special boards. 1, 2, and 3. Special board 1 is a star board. You get that after beating Shinobi. It's like an all-around board level 4. It's faster and better turning and everything. It costs 80,000 gold. Special board 2 is a feather board. That's what I was using for all the tricks earlier in this video. That's what you get for getting over 2,000 points in the trick minigame. It makes you jump really high in the air and stay a whole longer time into it, but it's not too useful in races. And the last one is what you get for purchasing any one of the regular boards, exiting, saving, and going back, and that's special board 3, and that's the ice board. It's useless. as soon as you start turning, you basically turn on a dime and turn perpendicular, and you stop. It's worthless. There's really no point in showing it off. And that's what didn't show off the starboard either. It's just another board. It's all-around board, level 4, essentially. And so, to end off this video, gonna be showing you the credits of Snowboard Kids, something I only saw once when I was younger, but now I have kind of immortalized it in this recording for this Let's Play series. And I love the little skit that plays at the beginning, this hilarious pantomime where Slash just like steals Tommy's burger because he's an asshole. It's a fun little, like say, skit at the very end, and there's another one like similar to it, I think, at the end of the second game as well. Most of these skits, there's actually skits more like this in like for every stage in Snowboard Kids too, so I'm glad they brought them back. This was a tough LP to record, and especially for that last part right there. That took a lot out of me to actually get all that stuff recorded, so I think it's gonna be, but it's really frustrating having to restart that over and over again. It's still a really good game though, but I would say this game is better as a multiplayer game than a first-player game, simply because the difficulty ramps up so fast in the later stages. And it's not that there's so many stages that you could just choose from anyway. There's only 9 total ones that you can actually race on. But it can be interesting to figure out all the strategies. It's really rewarding once you figure out exactly how to subvert the AI, but you're definitely going to feel cheated because it has such a large luck-based winning format in this one. I love this part here. I have no idea why Jam and Slash are just smacking Linda back and forth around. That's so terrible, but don't they know they shouldn't do that? But in any case, the color design is good, the level design is really fun, the music is terrific. I love the music in this one. While the controls are unfortunately a bit stiff, and that's one of the big reasons why I still prefer the second one, better controls and more, like say, fair AI. This one was a great first attempt, I think, from Atlas starting off on the N64, and I kind of wish they would have kept making more Snowboard Kids games after the first 2 one of them. No, they did for the DS, but that game sucks. That's a reboot, and it was terrible. Terrible controls, terrible... Okay, no, the controls are good. Terrible characters, terrible... Not very fun stages, terrible trick system, terrible music, terrible bosses, and terrible campaign mode for the endings. But this original Snowboard Kids game is actually sold, like, say, at least reasonably well in most parts of the world, which is what allowed them to create the sequel. So it was a good first step. It was my first introduction to Atlas as a publisher before I would later known them for their JRPGs, the Shin Megami Tensei series, and its more notable spin-off, the Persona series. I know I've been talking a bit of a mile a minute on this one, but it was still a good time playing through this again. I won't say this game doesn't hold as much of a place in my heart as the second one, but as a whole, the two together are just, I think, one of the more better, like say, overlooked gems of the Nintendo 64. It's one of the bright, happy things that, kind of spelled out my childhood, so, and taking a bow, that's gonna be the end of the first Snowboard Kids. I'll probably get around to the second one in a little bit, but I finally able to make it to the credits of this sequence, and I'm proud of myself for that. I'm Shogun Gino, and this was Snowboard Kids. Thanks for watching. See you later.